your real life trader, and I'm here reminding you to be good. And by good, I mean get out of debt and achieve your financial dreams. This is the third hour of the, what is it? Real life trading floor afternoon session. We got a couple of things going on. I'm going bananas. I ate a banana at the break, and you know what? They say you are what you eat. So we do have a day trade that we placed here on Kroger. It has been going bullish pretty much since about noon today, and it broke through the high of the day. Let me see if I can scoot this over just a little bit. So here's the high of the day. It formed very early, and then these three candles here are challenging this high of the day. Then it finally broke through that high of the day, and it retested that high of the day, that old resistance as new support, with these candles. And when it started making, when we noticed these kind of higher lows, we said, hey, this thing's going bullish. And so we placed our trade. It has triggered, and now these candles are, let's see, these candles are retesting this breakout. So this thing's just testing and testing and testing and testing. The main concern I have about Kroger is that we have about 30 to 45 minutes for this thing to do something before we're gonna have to close it out, because we only have a few more hours in the trading day. But love that pattern. We're gonna have the 10 EMA on in just a little bit. So cool. So a question right before we went to break was, can we swing trade it? Kroger's had a nice run up for a long time. Gathered lots of speed here, but it's been consistent. It's been holding the speed since November. It came up to this level, and a lot of people sold. It had one of the biggest bearish breaks that it's had in a while. Look at this little double top. I'm going to come back to double tops in just a tiny bit. Oh man, what I really love about this picture now is, see this little area here? This little resistance area became support for the double top. And yeah, at any rate, so we had a bullish candle yesterday with a tail that got somewhat close to the 50 EMA, and then an enormous bullish break. So if all of those people that have been making money on this thing since, well, since forever, because this is the highest it's ever been, you know, they may be looking for another place and time to get in, and this is it. They're getting in, they're pushing it up. So if you want to swing trade this, you certainly can get in at the close of today. If you do that, I actually like a stop kind of right where I just drew that purple line, because this is a pivot point that's been proven to be fairly significant in, well, let's see, today it's certainly going to be, you're going to be below the, excuse me, your stop will be, yes, your stop will be below the 10 EMA. It'll be below the 20 in a little bit. Now, if you do get in on this, here's a little bit of what I am expecting. I would expect a little bit of sideways movement, because I would bet a donut that we are outside the Bollinger Bands, and it's going to need to come back. We're not out that much, though. Angie and I were talking about Bollinger Band double tops, where it touches the band there and fails to touch it there, and then heads south to the other band. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, too. At any rate, yeah, I'm bullish on, excuse me, I should say I'm more bullish than bearish on Kroger. This stop would be at the 20 and at the 10. I think we may have a day or two of sideways movement, but it continues. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Kroger. Questions, thoughts, opposing views? Let me know what you got. Cheryl thinks 73.59 might be a stop for Kroger, and 73.59. Okay, so Cheryl would put her stop closer to this pivot point on the daily. She'd bring it up there a little bit. Cool, I like it. Ooh, here's what I would do. Cheryl, thank you for saying that. You have inspired thought. How about this, Cheryl? Protective put there and a stop there. Grooviness. Something like that. All right. Let's see. CNQ. We looked at this one today. It had a, oh, it's now pushed above the 50. Yeah, this was a good gap. It has kind of traded to a target based on the top of these candles in through here. Something like that. As far as a swing trade goes, I would wait till it gets to the top of this this little accumulation phase. It's in a fairly large accumulation phase here. So yeah, I guess my concern is if you went bullish now, your reward to risk ratio would not be that awesome. If you're thinking about day trading it, you might take a high of the day breakout above this area. That would be just fine. So let me jump back over here. Today is Transportation Thursday, so let's take a look at Netflix, right? Because that makes total sense. Netflix actually does transport. It does transport a heck of a lot of movies. This is, oh, this almost looks head and shoulder now. I was going to say Netflix is forming a double top. We are very, very, very close to having to buy a protective put, or getting to protective put, I should say, for any shares that we own up here. Yeah, that looks very head and shoulder-ish. I like it. We were playing with this one earlier. Lots of interesting things. We also found a Bollinger Band kind of double top looking thing. It's coming to the 20. Today is going to be a very, very key day, maybe tomorrow as well. Does it cross the 20? I believe if it crosses the 20, it will head on down to the other band, to the bottom end of the band, or maybe all the way down to this pivot area down here. We broke through this area strong. We retested it once. We may retest it again before we keep pushing on, pushing on. So some bearish sentiment coming in on Netflix doesn't mean it can't go bullish. We do have some divergence here, but divergence doesn't mean it has to go to zero. It could just go sideways. And if it does pop above the band, if it does pop above this pivot area, all of these will turn up and the divergence indicator will have played out. So right now we are a little bit more bearish than bullish on Netflix. If this was your plan, stay on top of it because you may need to be buying some protective puts soon. But that is my thoughts on Netflix. Just wanted to call attention to the fact that this looks like a double top and perhaps even a head and shoulders pattern. Groovy. And then we were also looking at Home Depot today. Home Depot had a breakout of pattern or above that pivot point. What happens if I bring in more data? So what I'm noticing now is Home Depot had a little bit of a parabolic run up. See how that line gets steeper and steeper and steeper as it goes up there? So we're due for a little bit of resting on Home Depot. And I think that's what we're doing. We have a bearish candle here and it gaps up. That is a gap and go, but this is such a key pivot area. I believe it's going to come down here, go sideways for a little bit, and then take off. So we were playing with this earlier, trying to decide when is the time to buy. This does kind of look double bottom-ish, although it's at a not the best location for a double bottom. But I am more bullish than bearish on Home Depot. You need to stick to your trading plan to figure out when to get in, but you can certainly, I think this gap in here will hold. I think it'll come down a little bit more and then go up. I think we were looking at the Bollinger Band as well on Home Depot. Yeah, I think the Bollinger Bands give an interesting story. I believe the 20 will come in. I think this will come down to the 20, and that'll provide some support for it to continue bullish. Those are my thoughts on Home Depot, and I'm trying to get my purplish cough syrup looking lines off of there. All right. We were also looking at MasterCard today. And this is making a short little distribution pattern up here between these two pivot points. The question was when to go bullish on MasterCard. And if you can draw purple lines, I've been drawing Pepto-Bismol lines actually for so long. I just kind of wanted to now draw cough syrup lines. Remember what I was talking about on Kroger with testing, breaking through a high and then retesting it? That's what this looks like to me. We broke through this high. We're just retesting that high. And then likely to have a push on up. I believe what we were talking about is if we get a close above this pivot point, say something like that, then that might be a time to buy. And you might have a protective put, something like this, protective put, and then a stop down here. The reason I really like the stop location because of this bullish candle. This stock came down to that, and bam, look at the size of that candle up there. It just went bullish the whole day on what should have been a ridiculously bearish gap. Because realize that before this candle formed, we had a bearish thrust. It gapped below the 10, below this pivot point, but it did nothing but go bullish just about that entire day. This stop is also below this very strong pivot area. So I love the stop. You may struggle with a reward risk ratio, but one of the real life traders said that we have a target up here around 100, 102. Was that Catherine Zwick that came up with that? I think it was. At any rate, watch out for earnings coming up on April 30th. So that is our plan for MasterCard. Questions, thoughts, opposing views? Cheryl, did I answer your question for a stop on Kroger? I think I did. Yeah, I did. Cool. I see a big tall upper wick there. Is it time to adjust our stop on Kroger? And I don't see a very definite swing low. So my plan says to wait for a swing low. And by the way, if you guys want to see my day trading plan, you can come over here to reallifetrading.com, click on articles, come down here to where it says trade journal. And if you go all the way to these tabs down here on the right, you'll see Brad's day trade plan. And there is, I guess that's a portion of my day trading plan, but these are kind of my rules for how I trade perfect gap and goes and retest gaps. Just if you're having trouble falling asleep, I'm sure that'll do the trick fairly quickly. All right. Next on the list, transportation. Oh, I was doing financial stocks. Today's transportation Thursday. So let's take a look at General Motors, see what it's doing. Oh, that's a beautiful little sideways, flaggish, pentish continuation pattern. I'm going to take my day trade note off of General Motors. General Motors just going sideways, doing its thing. Man, I'm almost tempted to do some sort of bull put spread down in this area. Maybe that's a little premature just yet. This is a gorgeous resting pattern. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so I'm going to draw this pivot area. Oh man, Angie, I'm really liking General Motors right now. If you guys like blue chippy stocks,
Yeah, that's pretty.
That is pretty. Oh man, guys, see how this pivot point held there and held there, and we're at it again. I'm thinking, I'm thinking bracket trade, but I'm not feeling too bearish. Is the problem? What are the Bollinger Bands doing? See, it's right on that 20. I don't see anything that would lead me to get bearish about this. RSI has reset. Stokes are resetting. So let's back, and I actually am going to draw some lines on this thing. If we get a close, let's get in a little bit more detail. Yeah, if we get a good close above the wick of this candle, which was 38.18, somewhere like 25-ish, you'll have to figure out what works on your trading plan. But if we get a bump up there, that would not be a horrendous place to buy. If you did, I would place a protective put line. There's like an intermediate resistance area at the top of these candles and the top of this over here as well. So I think I'd buy a protective put if it gets below those Dealey Bopper Mathingers. Sorry for the technical jargon. And if for some reason we get below this continuation pattern that we're currently in, then I'd go ahead and just bail on the stop, but maybe keep the protective put, because it could come down to this pivot point. This pivot point's not very well respected except for just recently, so it could come all the way down to the EMAs, to the SMAs, excuse me, if we get a bearish break. If this resistance area holds like it did there and there. Notice the candles here when the resistance area held, big bearish candle. So we will definitely get a sign that it's time to go bearish. And this is just a bearish gap out of this one. So I don't think it'll be a secret if General Motors breaks bearish. Questions, thoughts, opposing views? Cheryl says, if we have a protective put, why do we need to stop? Cheryl, the idea is if you are holding on to shares of this, then you may want to, some people like to hold on to their shares for a long time. And the thought is you can buy a protective put and make a little bit of money while this thing is heading down before you have to exit your shares. So if you buy a protective put here and it does come down to the bottom of this continuation pattern, and then you get a little bounce signal, well, then you can sell your protective put for a nice little profit. And while your shares were losing value, your protective put gained some value. So it's a little bit of an offset there. If it comes down and blows through the stop, then your protective put is going to go up even more in value. So the protective put will gain value even though you bought here and had to sell there. So the idea is to mitigate the risk of your shares declining in value. It's just like insurance. This protective put, if the stock gets up here, this protective put should be pretty cheap. So it's just kind of like buying insurance on your house or insurance on your car. It's insurance on your investment is all it is. And you hope you never have to do it. You never have to use it. But if you do, this protective put might be able to cover all or some or more than all of your losses if you do get triggered in and then it reverses on you. Great question, Cheryl. I love it when you guys ask questions. Yeah, Cheryl says that's my thoughts as well. So she was saying the same thing, but as long as it hits that pivot point, she's good with the shares as long as she owns them. Yeah, and General Motors it's not a horrible stock to own. It's not bad. Let's see, Kroger, I was wondering if I could move up my stop, and that's kind of gonna keep on going. Okay, Ford. Ford's not showing me much. It is coming down. Actually, it is showing me stuff. If I were to draw a horizontal line on Ford right there, this looked like it retested this pivot point once, it went up some more, and now it's retesting it again. I like the 200 here. I'm thinking a bull put spread. Maybe bull. I wonder if. Oh, I don't think there's premium in Ford options. If you want to do a long-term bull put spread, long-term meaning like 3 weeks, you might do it in there. If you like bull put spreads that are a day or two, you might look somewhere in there. I'm a little bit more bullish on this. I'm almost seeing this as an opportunity to buy the bounce. You got the 200, you got this pivot point. If this thing, if we get a nice white soldier, if we get a new white soldier, I just don't like that upper wick. If we get a bullish candle with a lower wick, I would say you can get in on Ford to take it bullish. This is going to be, I'm guessing it's going to be hitting the 20 on the Bollinger Bands. Ew, it's below the 20. I don't like that. I would certainly want a move above the 20, simple moving average on the Bollinger Band. The Bollinger Band is coming in, forming the squeeze. This thing may go sideways for a little bit. Bring these Bollinger Bands in, and then give us a better opportunity. So I'd give Ford a couple of days to marinate before doing anything. Let's check out the oscillators. Yeah, Ford gave us a signal. It said, hey, I'm not real happy with what I'm doing. So it gave us a little bit of divergence, but this is that divergence playing out. Let's wait for this to be done and for this to come up a little bit more. I'm thinking the Stokes may roll up, at least turn up for me on the Stokes like you did there before we go bullish. So Ford, I think the best plan is to wait for a day or two. And Angie, my dad says that Staples is going to do a report before earnings tomorrow. So can you remind me to take a look at Staples at 3:45? Sure. We'll take a look at that. Cool. All righty. So that was Ford. What else we got? NSE, Norfolk Southern Corporation. This looks just like Ford. Beautiful. Okay, so well, I guess while we're here, RSI is resetting, Stokes are resetting, so this thing's getting some momentum. This looks like maybe that's I don't know, that's a weird something. How do you like that? That's a weird something. But whatever it is, that is a bottoming type pattern giving us this bullish thrust. I like the fact that we're coming back up here to this pivot point. And this pivot point has held. Bam. So I expect us to kind of come back up here and test this again. But if we don't, then we won't. How do you like that? If we don't, then we won't. I believe this is a retest of that little action right there. I am wondering if this wouldn't be, You might consider something between, oh no, that's not going to work. I was going to say, we'll tell you what, if we go sideways a little bit, you might consider an entry there and a stop somewhere down there, and your target would be somewhere up like that. But you need a few more days worth of candle in here to define this, because right now your stop would have to go down here on this purple line. I am a little bit more bullish than bearish, at least up to this pivot point. Why do I think this thing may be sitting on a simple moving average? All right. Yeah, so if because of that 100 there, if we get another day or two of candles, kind of like this, this little guy here, you can set your stop below the 100 and your target back up to this pivot point. And that'll go fast. That'll be a 3 or 4 day trade. All right, questions, thoughts, and views on Norfolk Southern Corporation? We'll go over here to Tesla. Tesla looks like it's been going bearish, but now it's making higher lows. Anybody think the bearish move is over on Tesla? Boom. That 100 is going to be an issue, though, when this thing starts to go bullish. What are the EMAs doing? Where are my EMAs at? At least for the short term, it's been obeying the EMAs pretty well. This bottom purple line to me says that we may be getting ready to go bullish. That the Tesla bounce may be done. Let's see what the oscillators look like. I was looking for some bearish divergence, and the bearish divergence is happening now, actually. Sorry, the bullish divergence. So when the lows are getting higher, but the lows are getting lower on the stock, this is bullish divergence. However, that's what we are seeing now with these lower lows. So this could be just a resting pattern for this thing to continue bearish, or this be a bottom. So let's go back and let's get some more data on the picture here. Man, I wish I had a better answer for you guys, but my my thoughts on Tesla are going to be, huh? Which is a Southern way to say I don't know. So I'm indeterminate on Tesla. Angie, you got an edge on Tesla? I don't have much to say on it, unfortunately. Angie was taking a phone call. I'm not sure she did.
No, I'm back. I'm kind of in the same boat with you on Tesla, though. That's why I'm not being
okay.
Very
So Angie, so what are we waiting for from Tesla? I believe if we get a break below here,
yeah, that's exactly my thought.
You might take it bearish again. However, we are in a bullish market, and you are going to run into that. If it goes up, I think if Tesla makes a higher high, like if it clears, come on, TradingView, if it clears this high here, goes up, then I think we may have a little correction or a small bullish move. And I'm trying to think how significant that might be. Because this bearish wave, that's a long one. I mean, look how short that one was, and that one, and this one. This is a pretty long bearish move for Tesla. So I think it's due. I think it's due for a bullish move, But I'm just kind of indeterminate right now on Tesla. I wonder what the Bollinger Bands are doing. What do you want to bet that they are squeezing a little bit? No, they're not. But both Bollinger Bands are angled down. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to move on because I really don't have anything great for you on Tesla. If you're kind of like Angie and I, and you're just kind of on Tesla, you might see if there's an iron condor. I would get below this. I would get below 175 or even 170 on the bull put spread side, and on the bear call side, where's the simples? Where are my simples at? Oh, who let the simples out? Boom. Oh yeah, if you can get above 230 on a bear call spread, part of the iron condor, then I think that would be a fairly safe place because you've got a nice bearish trend line to act as resistance for you. You've got that to protect you. You've got the 100, you've got the 200, all of the EMAs. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on Tesla. It is 3:30, so now we need to start thinking about an exit plan on Kroger. I think I'm going to give this a chance to roll up, and then I'll move my my stop up, hopefully to break even or better. But so I'm going to give this another 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll do something with that day trade. And let's go. Anything you guys want me to look at? Linderman says complex inverted head and shoulder forming. On which stock?
I think he means Tesla.
On Tesla?
Complex inverted head and shoulders. I can see that. That's pretty darn complex, Justin.
Yeah, are you seeing this? No, that's not what you're seeing.
No, I think he's seeing bigger than that. Yeah.
You know, it's got to come up to there, I think, before going bullish. So I think it's got a ways to go. So I don't disagree with you, but I think it's got a ways to go before it completes that pattern. Cool. Good call out, bro. Thank you. Justin Linderman is my accountability partner, by the way. Why doesn't it like Tata? Did I type that wrong? Oh, TTM. This one looks like it's retesting this breakout. Okay, so Tata had a interesting double top here that broke out, went to the 100, and is now coming back and retesting the neckline of that double top. So it's once, twice, but not 3 times. So I can't finish singing the song. That kind of hurts inside. I want to finish singing the song. 3 times a lady. I just can't be stopped. I don't know. Don't you hate it when you hit undo a little bit too many times? All right, so let me adjust my picture a little bit over here on Tata Motors. Tata Motors has a very significant pivot point that it's respecting quite well. Let's see, there's certainly one there. And there is one, I'm just going to draw it there. So for, I would not take it, well, would I take it bearish? I would be more bearish than bullish if we get a close below here. The volume is declining, so this might be just a bearish flagger. and a bounce off of that pivot point. The 100, and actually I would like that a lot. I would say come down here, check this pivot point along with the 100 might be a great place to buy the bounce, except the fact that it would be making lower highs. So if we fill in a triangle pattern that looks something like this, then somewhere over in here, maybe in a week or two, might be a good time to buy on Tata Motors, or a good time to go bullish on it. If you can find premium in a bear call spread somewhere up above 52, I think that would be a quite safe place to have it. And if you, actually 52 would be pretty tight, because if you got to close above 50, you would be wondering if 52, if this is going to hold. So I might shoot that up to 53, and it'll be difficult to find premium up there. So yeah, it's going to be real hard to find premium up here. I still think I would like to let this thing marinate and come down. If it does break bullish above this pivot point here, I've drawn at 50, then you might think of a bull put spread down here below the 100 and below this pivot area here, which has held with a vengeance. Lots of gaps through this area. For some people, for some reason, when it gets to 45, people buy the bejesus out of this stock. I mean, all of this here, that's just bejesus that's been bought out of the stock. There's another pivot area right in there. Cool. Questions, thoughts, opposing views on Tata Motors?
Is that what bejesus look like? I never knew that.
That's what bejesus looks like.
Wow. Thanks, Brad.
I mean, there's just bejesus everywhere.
Wow. Now I'm going to see it everywhere. Now that I know what it looks like, I'll recognize it everywhere.
We got to make a really messy, ugly chart pattern when the stock just been smashed, and we'll call it the bejesus pattern. We'll know it's because the stock got the bejesus hammered out of it.
Knocked out of it, yeah.
All right, Hawaiian Holdings. Love the fib that's on here. Jeremy, you are an amazing fibber. Get it? Fibber? It means like someone who tells like lies, but I'm talking about the Fibonacci here. Okay, anyways. You know, one thing Jeremy and I have a common, we laugh at our own jokes. Not many other people laugh at our jokes, but we laugh at our own jokes. At any rate, this thing had an incredible bearish move, and it's gone sideways. So that means, I would like to think that that means that it's either resting or it's going to reverse. So it's going to continue or it's reverse. Full is, ever have something going through your mind, you're like, wow, this is really insightful and cool, and then it comes out and it's just like, really? I said that? So obviously we have a very, very strong Bollinger Band squeeze here, and let's just see what would happen if we trade the squeeze. I might put an entry up there. Trigger end of day. And a trigger down here. If you are good at Bollinger Band squeezes, you can put these things, these entries tighter to the Bollinger Bands. I'm seeing the bottom of this hammer candle as a little bit of resistance, and the top of this bearish candle as some support. So I would want to wait until it got beyond those. Although well, okay. That's one view. If we go back here to look at the long-term moving averages, those present a problem to me, because that those are going to be support or resistance on either side of that Bollinger Band breakout. Man, I would love this pattern if it weren't for those hundreds, for those simple moving averages. So according to my trading plan, this would be like, oh man, I know this thing's going to move. It's going to move. It's going to move quickly in one direction or another. It's not going to go sideways for much longer. But the problem that I don't know is once it breaks out, how far is it going to go? What do you guys think? All right. Got some questions over here about Apple. I am getting close to ready to start talking about gaps for tomorrow. Oh, I got to go take a look at Kroger. So the question is Apple going to bounce? The answer is yes, it is. The question is when and where. Sorry, that's the smart aleck in me. I'm a little brother. Didn't know if y'all know that, so it's my job to be annoying. Okay, so Apple definitely got outside of the Bollinger Bands. It had this amazing, incredible run up. Oh, it's still in the Bollinger Bands. So it's crossing the 20 here. The Bollinger Bands are really, really wide. As I've drawn on here, and I still kind of like what we've put here, I think Apple may rest a little bit. See how big these gaps are, how big these candles are, and just how many bullish candles we had one after another. Apple is tired. Apple is exhausted, and it needs time to rest. And that's kind of what it's doing now. Well, actually, that's pulled back pretty significantly. I think where this protective put is drawn at the bottom, just a little bit in this gap, I might scooch it down just a skidgen to be just below these lower wicks here. Because I think if it is going to bounce, now is the time for it to bounce. I think if it continues lower, it is likely to come down to either this gap, but really I think it's going to come back down to this pivot point. And so what we've drawn here is this pink line. I think it may just take its sweet and merry time rolling down, wait for the 100 simple moving average to come up, and then maybe somewhere over here in the middle of April might be another amazing time to buy some apples. Let's put some more data on the chart, and that'll make that plan just a little bit more clear. So we had, and I keep drawing this, all of this that I see here looks freakishly similar to this here. Yeah. So that's my plan on Apple, is to trade what it's doing now to what it did back here. Questions, opposing views? That's my plan for Apple. But it is Apple, and Apple is a very emotionally traded stock, and it very likely just could do that. So I think for me, I would have a trigger here on Apple and this protective put. That would be kind of my bracket play on Apple. Cool. Thanks for bringing that up, because I know a lot of people like Apple, and I wanted to get it into the third hour. Let's go back to Kroger. What are you doing to me? Okay, well, I'm going to keep my stop there on Kroger. And yeah, it'll either bounce or it won't. How's that for insight? We looked at a couple of these today. That one never triggered. That one never triggered. Costco did some crazy amazing things, but would not have triggered. This one did not trigger. Love setting trades that don't trigger. Golar, oh man, Luis Marquez set up a trade somewhere around in here, I think, and is just demolishing that. Very nice, buddy. Was it Abercrombie & Fitch that people traded? No, it was, oh my gosh, Yoav, are you kidding me? Yoav, please tell me you're still in this. Okay, Elantra, I'll send out the video. Since I am recording it on my computer, there will be no internet issues with the recording, so my voice should be just fine, assuming I don't have the mute button on for an hour, which is very likely could have happened. Yeah, this looks amazing. This is 2R here. Some traders made up to 4R on taking ABB Varish today. We looked at this in the morning session. And this entry was placed in the morning session. So great job, traders. CSIQ, wow. I know some people were trading and making numbers on CSIQ. Joy and pain, sunshine in the rain. Let's do it again. Raw base now. Anyways, had a bearish gap, but just went north. They were very happy about the bearish gap and they bought it. So this has been happening quite a bit in the market lately. A bearish gap turns bullish for interesting reasons. So that's why I haven't taken any bearish trades. Actually, let's see, I took one on Tuesday, but I wasn't supposed to. But yeah, I'm not taking bearish trades right now. So let's go through. What do you guys got for gapping tomorrow? I think my dad was saying Staples is gapping. Oh, what the heck is that thing? All right, Staples, interesting 100 moving average here. If Staples gaps down below the wick of this thing, we would have a bearish retest, but that 100 moving average is going to be it. So be very cautious about taking Staples bearish. So that's at 1609. Guys, go ahead and type in the stocks that may be gapping tomorrow. If it goes bullish, if it gaps bullish, I'm trying to figure out if I would trade it above there. Above there. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to trade Staples tomorrow, no matter what it does. Just because there's so much congestion up here. If it 1620 and has like a 30-40% gap, or I guess that's what, a 25% gap, it may fade because all of these bullish buyers in through here are going to want to sell. Yeah, I don't have a good plan for Staples. I don't like it, so I wouldn't do it. Tina's got big plans for something. Big Lots. I miss shopping at Big Lots. That was a great store. Okay, Big Lots. If it gaps above, my mom can do some damage at Big Lots too. If it gaps above 49, do what?
My mother works at Big Lots.
Oh.
So I go visit her, and we go to, and we. Oh my goodness, yes, she does. I have fun when I go visit her.
There's one time, some friends and I were all going to have, let's see, I must have been in my middle 20s, and we were going to get like 20 people together at someone's house for a Thanksgiving, something or other, and someone backed out at the last minute. I'm like, hey, I'll do it. Y'all come over to my house. And I went to Big Lots, and I got like plates and bowls that looked just, they were beautiful. I had like a little, the gold rim and porcelain plates for $1 each. So I spent like $50, and I had like 3-piece place settings for everybody. It was awesome.
Wow. That's the way to do it.
And then I forgot to get silverware. So that was kind of an issue, but
fancy party, and y'all ate with your hands, huh?
Well, it wasn't planning on being a fancy party. Then I'm like, man, for $50, I can have some stuff that'll last me forever. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if Big Lots gaps above 49.80, I don't like it bullish up to, ooh, it's got ways to go. Up to maybe there for a target. If it gaps bearish, I'm seeing something here, certainly something there. I don't know if I like it bearish too much, just because there's a lot of targets. I'm not sure where it would trade to. So yeah, that's my plan for Big Lots. What else is gapping tomorrow that you guys would like for me to take a look at?
Foot Locker reports before the market. I don't know if it'll gap or not.
Nice, thank you, Dad. What Foot Locker? Is that still FL? We'll try FL.
Yeah, F like Frank, L Lima, Frank Lima.
All right. Ooh. So here's what I'm seeing on Foot Locker. First of all, we have this pivot area, and we got room to go. So I would love it if it just hopped over this thing a little bit. If it does, that's a gap and go. If it gaps down, I'm almost thinking fade. If it gaps down here to the 100 simple moving average, if it gaps below the 100, we're going to have support at this gap. I don't think I'd trade it if it gaps down, but if it gaps up to above 57.86 or even better above 59.17, then I think that would be just an absolutely spectacular gap for Foot Locker. Let's see, if it gaps from here to above 59.17, that's $2 on a, that's only a 4% gap. So that is what I'm hoping for. Yeah, if this thing gaps over 59.17, I'm going to trade the bejesus out of it, Angie, and there's going to be bejesus all over my chart tomorrow.
No.
So get ready for it.
Okay. We'll see if I can spot the bejesus. What? We'll see if I can spot the bejesus before you call it out, okay?
Cool. I like it. I was going to say I'm bummed because there's no morning floor tomorrow, but I'm happy because that means I get to be with my kids. All right. Foot Locker, Dunzo. What else we got? TFM. Steven Jackson, is that a ticker or are you saying too freaking much information about all of the bejesus everywhere? Oh, it's a ticker. Had an interesting little jump today, actually. Were the earnings today or are they? Okay. Kind of like earnings were today.
The fresh
so I'm going to
market.
draw a bit line there.
Interesting.
Which market? Oh, the fresh market. I thought it was the old crusty market.
According to Earning Whispers, earnings are today. I'm verifying. Today is Thursday, the 5th, after close.
Yeah, after close. All right. Cool. All right, so the high is there, 39.84, so I'll put that at 39.84.
That's why Steven's mentioning it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? A gap up would be very, very nice because this thing has some decent room to go. If it gaps down, and clears this hammer, don't, ba-dum. No, that's not hammer time. What did I just sing? Is that hammer time? Oh, well, anyways. If it gaps down and clears this pivot, you got room to go. If it stays in between there, tell you what, I'm going to draw this one in a light blue line, I think.
And remember your KR trade.
And I'm taking this one off. All right. So that's my plan for TFM if it gaps above 39.84. Bullish retest gap. If it gaps below 37.79, it's a gap and go. And with this big upper wick, you may have a little bit of a, I don't think it'll be perfect, but we'll just have to see.
Did you hear about the
what else
trade? KR?
What did Kroger do? No.
Oh, don't we need to close it out?
We need to do something to it. Let's see. I'm going to lower my target to the top of these candles and see if I can get out for break even or just a little bit less. So I'm going to do a sell limit at 74.63. Modify pending order 74.63. That's a sell limit, accept. And I'm going to leave my stop in place. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move my stop up to the bottom of this candle, which is 74.42. So I'm going to set my stop at 74.40. And then if I fail to exit it, my broker will exit me for me. How do you like that grammar? So, you know, I might break even. I might lose half an hour. Shucks. Boo-hoo. But you know what, Angie, I traded my plan. Woohoo! That's really all there is to it.
Success!
Trade your plan. I'm happy. I'm happy. I did what I was supposed to do. I'm a good boy. I get a treat. I may get some ice cream tonight. I don't know. What else is gapping tomorrow? Anything else gapping tomorrow? HRB. 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 H&R Block. Have you guys gotten your taxes ready? Because it's getting to be about that time where taxes go bazonkoid. Type in a 1 if you do your own taxes. Type in a 2 if you usually have someone else do them for you. Tina does her own taxes.
Oh boy, do I have a story for you on that one.
I usually have someone else do them, but we moved from Kansas to Indianapolis. We sold a house in Kansas. We bought a house in Indy. My wife works for Eli Lilly. She has her own business. I have my own business. Our taxes are a nightmare. And then, of course, we have trading. So it's really confusing. Angie, go ahead and tell me your story. And I am going to talk, let's see, I'm going to draw lines. How long is your story?
Very short.
Go.
I have done my own taxes for years and finally decided this year with trading and a rental and everything else in our life that I would hire someone. And he took one look at my W-2 and he said, this is wrong. Your Idaho employer should have been reporting your wages earned in California because you've lived in California, therefore you've earned the money in California, therefore they should have been paying taxes and Medicare and Social Security to California rather than Idaho. So now my employer has to correct, my previous employer, that's the kicker, has to correct 3 past years of W-2s, and I have to amend all my tax returns. So all the money I saved by doing my own taxes, guess what?
I'm sorry.
I know. Now I'm going to pay an accountant. And he took one look at me and he said, you know, people specialize in things for a reason. It's a good idea to let a specialist handle your taxes for you.
Oh, he gave you a sales pitch?
Yeah, he
You need
did.
to tell him about real life trading. Okay, so I think I want this thing to gap beyond that. Okay, so if H&R Block gaps above 33.91 or below 31.41, it looks good. If it gaps down, it would be a retest gap. If it gaps up, it would be a very, very beautiful gap and go, because if you were bearish on this, your stop would likely be somewhere around these simple moving averages or above that wick or above this pivot point in through here. So if we could get a gap up somewhere north of 34, ooh, that's where I'm going to draw it. And move that up a little bit more. If we get a gap up above that, ooh, okay, that could really, really move. All right. Non-co, I think, just booted me out of my shares, and it did. So let's go over here and see what happened. All right. Cool. Well, I protected myself. And let's see, what do I need to do? I need to draw my picture. I traded my plan. I traded my plan. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. Okay, I'll work with my picture later. All right, any other gaps for tomorrow? My goodness, look at that thing go. So glad I trailed out or stopped out when I did. Half an R. That's not going to upset the bank. Cheryl says she's holding. Oh, I didn't check the indices. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be in so much trouble. Okay, indices. Oh, the NASDAQ just kind of did a little bit of nothing. It looks like there's a little support area here that's holding. Nothing really new based on the NASDAQ. The Russell 2000, same kind of picture. It just looks like it's just kind of resting, going sideways. You know, we had some all-time highs, and it's just coming back. And I wonder if that's sitting on the 10 EMA. Oh, it's sitting between the 10. So we got above the 10 EMA. That's a little bit more bullish than bearish. DIA, same thing, a little doji, just a little resting. This might very possibly be in a continuation doji, but I really don't think it is. Oh man, that's set right on top of this pivot point. So it looks like this pivot is going to hold. Crossed down yesterday. I think we go sideways to go bullish a little bit longer. I think we're going to go sideways a little bit longer. Yeah, this looks sideways too. This can give me, the SPY gives me a little bit different picture. And then retest, but I'd be shocked if that held. There would certainly be some sort of divergence indicator. And there is a little bit of a divergence indicator. We might have a little bit lower movement on the SPY tomorrow, but you know, I'm not cashing out the 401k over that. I bet tomorrow on the SPY we come down to somewhere in this area, but nothing too surprising, nothing too scary. Thank you guys for being here. Love you guys. Thanks for being real life traders. I will be here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll talk trading. Elantra has a quick question. How do we know something might gap? Elantra, all those things that we think might gap are having earnings announcements either tonight or tomorrow. So that's the volatility factor that gets thrown in that may cause them to gap. Great question. Thank you guys for being here. Have a good night. And as always, trade on logic, not on hope.